a powerful energy core began to stir, swirling violently with cosmic force. It emitted a radiant blend of blue and purple light, signaling the activation of a long-awaited breakthrough. This was no ordinary energy surge. It marked the start of something greater. Standing at the center of the storm was Lu Sheng. He extended both arms, channeling the turbulent energy outward. The vortex of power spread rapidly, reshaping the space around him. He stood firm, his aura stabilizing the chaos, as he asserted control over the awakening force. With a composed gaze, Lu Sheng realized he had succeeded. After countless trials, failures, and setbacks, he had finally broken through the bottleneck. His voice was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of past struggles. He had crossed the threshold that once seemed unreachable. One figure stood out in his memory, Li Fuxian, a dominant level 13 powerhouse. Lu Sheng had faced him over 10 times before, each ending in defeat. The humiliation he suffered had driven his obsession with surpassing his limits and reclaiming his dignity. Now, strengthened beyond his former self, Lu Sheng launched a decisive strike. His fist connected with Li Fuxian's face, sending shockwaves through the realm. The victory was not about reward, it was about overcoming defeat, proving that he had finally surpassed the one who once towered over him. Lu Sheng examined the violent energy coursing through his hands. Lightning-shaped veins appeared across his palms, flickering with power and forming the image of a raging thundercloud. It was a rare sign, proof of a new transformation within his body and spirit. As he continued meditating, Lu Sheng reflected on the nature of his breakthrough. He realized that while levels 11 and 12 granted the ability to control the universe's rules, level 13 extended further. It was the entry point into the realm of laws, the foundation behind all creation. The laws he now touched were not abstract concepts, they were the purest form of power within a domain, a derivative of the universe's original force. His hand pulsed with that strength, and his body vibrated from its raw intensity. Mastery over this level signified command over true cosmic authority. As he gazed forward, a swirling cosmic vortex appeared. At its center was the essence of the universe itself. While the rules defined behavior, the laws governed existence. To reach this depth was to begin understanding the universe's inner workings. He compared it to a game. Cultivators below level 11 were just players obeying preset mechanics. But those who entered the realm of laws, they began shaping the game itself. Lu Sheng had crossed into that tier, and he would never see the universe the same way again. As Lu Sheng deepened his understanding of cultivation levels, he likened the journey to a grand system. Those at levels 11 and 12 were like veteran players in a game, masters of the rules and mechanics. They knew how to use these systems in battle, wielding power skillfully but still within preset limits. However, stepping into level 13 was a different experience entirely. It meant becoming a VIP player. Granted rare privileges like modifying the game's code, changing internal parameters, or even creating one's own server. It wasn't just participation anymore. It was control. Despite qualifying for this stage, Lu Sheng confessed to a limitation. Although he possessed origin power and could see the underlying structure of the laws, he couldn't yet interpret or manipulate them. To him, it was like facing programming code without knowing how to read it, powerful, but inaccessible. A computer idiot, as he self-mocked. Even so, progress had come. He had comprehended the law of thunder and elevated his other abilities to the 6th realm. This newfound power reshaped his combat foundation. It wasn't mere enhancement, it was a complete transformation. With deeper clarity, he realized why level 12 warriors absorbed cosmic rules. They were fortifying their mortal bodies, unknowingly preparing for level 13. Now aware of that truth, Lu Sheng stood ahead, ready to master what lay beyond. The volatile power of the laws surged uncontrollably through a cultivator's body. Without a solid physical foundation, the energy turned inward, ravaging its wielder. The laws, despite their might, were merciless if misused. As such, they resembled a double-edged sword, one that could cut down its user before any enemy. Lu Sheng, however, stood apart, his body forged through immense discipline, held both the immortal martial body and the golden glazed body. These rare physiques enabled him to endure the backlash of law energy, even before stepping into level 12. It was a safeguard few possessed, his greatest advantage in a world ruled by strength. After completing his cultivation, he emerged calm and composed, dressed sharply and seated in a quiet spacecraft. Outside the window floated the vast silence of space. The spiritual storm had ended, the internal chaos had calmed. Now clarity remained, extending his spiritual senses. Lu Sheng scanned the ship instantly. He discovered an unsettling truth. 7 cosmic days had passed since they boarded, yet no one had visited. Not even routine services like food delivery had occurred. The ship felt deserted, and something was clearly wrong. Rising without hesitation, Lu Sheng walked toward the exit. His calm voice echoed, "Let's go outside for some fresh air." Whatever awaited beyond the door, he would face it with the strength of someone who had mastered the storm within. Lu Sheng stepped across a fractured section of the spacecraft, his expression calm despite the instability underfoot. The ship's warp drive still operated, a remarkable feat considering the hull's deteriorated state. The fact that it hadn't collapsed already was both impressive and concerning. As he proceeded, a sudden voice called out from behind. A hand landed on his shoulder. The interruption was unexpected, but Lu Sheng remained composed as he turned, eyes narrowing slightly in cautious curiosity. A burly man with a casual tone and a cigarette in hand greeted him with exaggerated relief. He seemed genuinely surprised to find another living person on board, even offering Lu Sheng a smoke. Lu Sheng declined politely, his gaze sharp and analytical beneath the surface. The stranger introduced himself as Saya, hailing from the Polo Star region. His attitude was relaxed, perhaps too much, so given the ship's condition. Lu Sheng, observing closely, said little but remained alert, analyzing this new variable. Lu Sheng replied with his own name and origin, the sub-Jupiter region. Saya had never heard of it, but brushed it off without care. While the interaction was casual, Lu Sheng sensed the need to remain wary. In a place where the rules had been broken, trust was no longer automatic. Saya, still clinging to his friendly tone, asked Lu Sheng which room he was staying in, eager to meet again and play cards. Lu Sheng dismissed him curtly, stating he wouldn't find it. He kept walking, uninterested in entertaining idle games or unnecessary companionship. Left behind, Saya muttered in frustration. "We're all level 2, what's with the attitude?" The rejection clearly annoyed him, but Lu Sheng paid it no mind. His purpose aboard the ship didn't involve forming bonds. It involved silence, awareness, and advancement. Over the next few days, Lu Sheng resumed his cultivation in isolation. Occasionally, he would go out for short walks or to check on the ship's condition. Despite his efforts to avoid attention, he encountered Saya multiple times. The man always greeted him with the same persistent energy. Eventually, Lu Sheng began to find the timing suspicious. Saya seemed to always be wandering the corridors, never in one place for long. It was strange how often they crossed paths, as though Saya lingered near his route on purpose. Thankfully, Lu Sheng never revealed his room number. He was certain that if he had, Saya would be bothering him inside too. With time continuing to stretch, Lu Sheng sat back into deep cultivation, flame, like energy circling his body. The ship drifted, forgotten in the starry void. While deep in cultivation, Lu Sheng suddenly opened his eyes, alert. A sharp sensation pulsed through his spiritual senses. His instincts, trained through countless life, or death battles, triggered immediately. Something had changed. The environment was no longer stable. He activated his perception, enhanced by his cultivation. His irises glowed gold as he scanned the surrounding energy. The readings were abnormal. The ship's spatial flow had become distorted. Lu Sheng's mind quickly processed the possibility. Had the spacecraft suffered a collision? His suspicion proved correct. Outside the vessel, the scene was clear. The ship had landed on a desolate surface. It was heavily damaged, with smoke billowing from the hull. Deep impact marks scattered across the area. The warp-capable craft had lost control and fallen from orbit. Back inside, Lu Sheng stood and steadied himself. The impact had shaken the chamber violently, though he had not lost consciousness. The sudden force had disrupted his energy flow. He voiced his concern aloud, confirming what had just occurred. Approaching the ship's interior corridor, Lu Sheng observed the warped metal with calm disbelief. For all its technological advancement, the ship had fallen like a broken relic. He questioned whether it had ever truly been spaceworthy, or just barely held together until now. As Lu Sheng stepped into the corridor, a tall, armored figure blocked his path. Without hesitation, the stranger barked an order, demanding Lu Sheng move aside. His tone was forceful, radiating arrogance and a lack of respect for others on the ship. The man shoved past him, tossing a sharp insult over his shoulder. Lu Sheng stood still, watching him leave. The words were intended to provoke, but he didn't react. His calm demeanor concealed a strength few could comprehend. Internally, Lu Sheng reflected on his response. In the past, his temper might have flared, and violence would have followed, but cultivation had refined not just his power, but his temperament. His restraint was proof of growth, not weakness. He took pride in that control ladder. Lu Sheng exited the crashed spaceship. A crowd had already gathered on the barren ground outside. Many others had survived the impact and were now assembling. likely drawn by curiosity or instinct. The situation was shifting again, and new dynamics were emerging. Among the group, Lu Sheng observed powerful figures. These people were no ordinary survivors. Many had reached level 11, and some even level 12. Their presence confirmed the gravity of the moment. Whatever came next would not be simple, and strength alone might not be enough. Lu Sheng stood quietly under the stars, reflecting on his past restraint. He had once believed that suppressing his aura would keep him unnoticed, reducing conflict. But now, surrounded by competitors flaunting their power, he questioned the value of such self-limitation. Around him, groups of cultivators displayed their energy openly, competing through sheer presence. Their auras flared like beacons, each trying to dominate the space through intimidation. Lu Sheng observed their behavior, comparing it to animals posturing for dominance. Among them, one figure caught his attention, a red-haired man cloaked in flames. His confidence was visible in both posture and power. The heat of his aura was undeniable, and it set him apart from the rest. Lu Sheng narrowed his eyes, noting his energy pattern and presence. Seiya suddenly appeared beside Lu Sheng again, casually lighting another cigarette. He identified the man as Sail, a so-called genius from the Polo Star region. Seiya's tone was mocking, but Lu Sheng remained expressionless. Though unimpressed, he listened quietly. As they both looked on, Lu Sheng made a dry comment, comparing Sal to an angry turkey. Seiya laughed, but Lu Sheng's attention was focused. He could tell Saul wasn't just bluster. His power was real, and if battle came, Lu Sheng would be ready. Seiya's usual joking demeanor shifted into something colder. With a hardened expression and narrowed eyes, he spoke seriously. In his view, the battlefield didn't reward arrogance or flashy talent. It rewarded survival. Real genius wasn't measured in words or reputation, but in who stayed alive under pressure. He glanced toward the distance, imagining the chaotic warfront. In a place swarming with deadly monsters, someone like Sal, who drew attention like a flare, wouldn't last long. His flamboyance would mark him as a primary target. No amount of pride could shield someone from that reality. Lu Sheng, standing quietly beside him, listened without interruption. Seiya suddenly asked if he had a personal issue with Saul, perhaps curious if Lu Sheng shared his negative feelings. His tone was cautious now, less mocking and more uncertain. With an embarrassed sigh, Seiya admitted the truth. Sail had beaten him in the past. It was a one-sided fight, and the humiliation had stayed with him ever since. He hadn't told anyone until now, speaking only because he considered Lu Sheng a friend and wanted to vent his frustration. Lu Sheng gave a brief response, not emotionally invested. Internally, he questioned their supposed friendship, finding Seiya overly familiar. But for now, he played along, offering nothing more than a quiet, non-committal as the tension faded. Another man approached from behind, placing a firm hand on Seiya's shoulder. His greeting was cheerful and casual, cutting through the moment with an unexpected presence. Seiya turned in surprise, clearly not expecting to be approached right then. The man looked past Seiya toward the fiery figure in the distance, and asked bluntly whether that was the person who had beaten him. The question hit hard. Seiya's face went stiff, eyes widening at the sudden exposure of the one secret he had tried to bury. Panicked, Seiya shouted for him to be quiet. His voice cracked in embarrassment as he tried to silence the topic, frantically waving his arms. The embarrassment was genuine. This wasn't a rumor he wanted spread through the ship. The man, realizing his mistake, backed off slightly. With an apologetic grin, he raised his hands and scratched the back of his head. He offered a clumsy apology, acknowledging that he'd forgotten this was supposed to be Seiya's biggest secret. Lu Sheng stood nearby, watching silently. As the two argued, the bald man laughed and muttered that Seiya might be the only person on the entire ship with a memory that fragile. Lu Sheng simply crossed his arms, unimpressed by the comedic display unfolding before him. Lu Sheng smirked to himself, fully aware that Seiya's embarrassing secret was still safe. Only he knew about it. Though amused, he kept quiet, choosing to enjoy the moment privately without exposing Seiya any further, for now.